So, is this camera worth using to film skateboarding? I don't know. We'll have to see at the end of the video. This here is the RCA CC4393 from 2001. We'll be going over the specs, the features, and then at the end of the video, we will be checking out some of the test footage that comes out of this guy. Hello! I've been wanting to film this video for a while now. Hey there, welcome back to my camera collection. If you're new around here, we like to check out silver boxes that may or may not contain a really cool camcorder. So if you're into cool silver boxes that may or may contain a cool camcorder or not, maybe consider subscribing. No, I check out retro camcorders, stuff from VHS, VHS-C, Video 8, Mini DV, all the fun retro old school camcorders from back in the day, 20 to 30 years ago. So if you like old school retro tech and old camcorders, you're on the right channel. And before we get into it, I'm trying out a couple different mics here. I'm batch producing some content. This camera review will probably come out before the one that I filmed with this little guy. So this one is a Rode video mic, and this is a XLR mic that I have plugged into the camera. I just want you guys to let me know what one sounds better, and I'm actually trying, I gotta put that down, jeez. I'm trying a little bit of a different approach. I was kind of getting tired of the long lens look. I was filming with a Canon 50mm on my Canon SL3, and I am now trying out a 10 to 18mm wide angle lens on a Canon M50. So let me know if you like the look of this wide angle versus the long lens look. Do you like the look of the wide angle, or do you like the look of the long lens? Let me know down in the comments. And let me know if this mic sounds better than this mic. So let's open this little guy up, and well, it's not a little guy, but this is a big boy. But for a VHS camera, this is actually a fairly small camera. If you didn't know, I have a Discord page or a server where people can just kind of get together, ask questions about cameras, show off what cameras they got, show the test footage they get, you know, maybe your whole collection if you want. But it's just a fun little place to interact with other people who like to collect retro camcorders. You can buy, sell from other people, trade if you want. And I got a friend on there, and he has a YouTube channel, and he goes by the name of VHS Recordings Studio. He likes to check out full-size VHS cameras, and he was getting rid of this one, and I've been wanting one like this for a while. And if you know anything about VHS cameras, they're really, really hard to find batteries for. And he had one that had a working battery on it along with the charger. I've been sitting on this one for a while, and I haven't even really recorded with it because I want to rig up a fisheye on it and try filming skateboarding. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, he sent this to me in this big metal silver case here. VHS cameras generally come in big ass cases like this. Carrying cases, it looks like you're going on a damn business trip. But yeah, you got yourself a, I don't want to say a fancy camcorder in here, because VHS cameras aren't fancy at all. Maybe back in the mid to late 80s they were, but for 2001 standards, this is very basic. So came with I got the charger here for it. I ain't gonna be pulling that out. I got a power supply and a lanyard for it. This is the guy that we are checking out today. So it's just a little backstory on this camcorder. One thing that I'm pretty bummed about, and it's no one's fault but the manufacturer. It's supposed to have a top handle here, and as soon as I opened this thing up after I first got it, opened up the package, I pulled it out, and the handle broke. And they make these handles so that you can grab it and kind of pull it out, and it's like a carrying handle, and then when you're done with it, it kind of folds back into the casing here. Well, the handles are made out of rubber. You know, this thing's over 20 years old, and that rubber starts to just kind of dry out and rot. It ended up breaking on me, and I've seen plenty of other ones online for sale that have broken handles as well. So I just took it and I just broke the other side of it off, because what's the point of having a floppy handle up here if you're not gonna be able to use it at all? The only thing that sucks about that is, like I said, I wanted to try filming skateboarding with it, and that was the only kind of a handle that you had up here. So being able to throw a fisheye on it and be able to follow people around handheld, that's kind of gone out the window. So I'm gonna have to try something else out with it, possibly just running with it or doing some handheld shots. But these cameras are pretty freaking heavy just because of the batteries that come on them. They're lead acid batteries, and they're really, really hard to find. There's a couple companies that I know that still produce them. There's one that's Battery Kings. I'll leave a link to Battery Kings down below in the description if you want to try your luck with it. I have no affiliation with them or anything, but if you want an RCA camera that's a VHS one and you need a lead acid battery, that's really one of the only places that I know that you can get one that are brand new batteries. I have rambled on for way too damn long. Let's go around and talk about the specs on this guy. There's not very many on it. There's not much going on with it. It's a pretty basic camera, but kind of a unique one, and it's probably one of the last VHS cameras that has been made. So let's get into it. So from my knowledge, 2001 was the last year that VHS cameras were made. Full-size VHS. These things take a full-size VHS tape that you can put into a VCR, and watch movies on. Or you can take your home movies and take them out of here and put them in your VCR and watch them that way. Or these things can just be a full-on VCR if you want them to be. You can throw a movie in here and go to playback and watch a movie connected to your TV through AV cables, and you can watch Iron Giant if you want. This camera has a 1/4-inch single CCD sensor in it, so decent sized sensor in there. Kind of an average size sensor. I wasn't able to find any information on how many pixels it makes, but this thing is very unique because it has a 3-inch colored screen on it. It's got an LCD screen on it. So there's not very many of these full-size VHS cameras that have a LCD screen on them. They generally just have the viewfinder. So kind of rare to find these. I think there might have only been about 2 or 3 models that were made with the LCD screen. I could be wrong, but I've only seen about 2 or 3 models that have been for sale on eBay. Now, another thing that I personally find rare is it's got the LCD screen, but it also has a 0.55-inch colored viewfinder. So about a 1/2-inch colored viewfinder in there. To me, it's rare to find a VHS camera that has a LCD screen along with a colored viewfinder. I would have expected it to have a black and white viewfinder with a colored LCD screen. And there's probably a model out there that has a black and white viewfinder, but it's mind-boggling that they actually put a colored viewfinder with the LCD screen. Now, this thing does have a whopping 16 times optical zoom, which is pretty freaking high. I've had an RCA camera. It was the CC4393. That one had a black and white viewfinder. I think it was from like 1998. But that one had a black and white viewfinder, and I think it only had a 8 times optical zoom on it. But if that's not enough for you, you do get a 72 times digital zoom on there, and because it's VHS, that's not going to look super great. I definitely just recommend using the 16 times optical zoom. Now, the lens has a minimum aperture of f1.4. So this camera has a 46mm lens thread diameter on it. So you can take this little plastic, kind of a lens hood on it, and it's hiding the lens threads on it. So because it's a 46mm lens thread diameter, if you want one of these for yourself and you want everything proper, you want to play around with it with a fisheye or something like that, you can go onto eBay, and Valedge makes a 43mm fisheye lens. What you can do is get a 46 to a 43mm step down ring, but for my video, I am using a 58mm just because, well, fisheyes can be expensive, and I already have a 46 to 58mm step up ring, so I figured I'll just use that with this guy on here. So with the fisheye lens and this big ass battery back here, this thing's gonna be a tank. If you want one of those fisheyes that will be a 43mm, I'll leave one down in the description in eBay. If you need a 46 to a 43mm step down ring, I'll leave one of those in the description as well, along with a 58mm fisheye, because well, that's the one that I'm using in this video, and they're the most abundant, it seems like, the 37mm and the 58mm. This camera has really no manual functions on it, so your focus, exposure, and white balance is all automatic. There's no manual functions for that, so there's really no adjustments for any of that kind of stuff. That just shows how cheap and basic this camera really is, and was, even for 2001. But it does have a couple digital effects in it. Ooh, yay, digital effects. So you got 16:9, so you can make it widescreen, which I don't really understand how that's a digital effect. You have mosaic, negative, and mirror, and those are really the only digital effects that it has. So you got 16:9, and then 3 actual digital effects. And it has a mono microphone and a mono audio output, which still, in my opinion, is just so weird for 2001. I know a lot of VHS-C and VHS cameras were mono still, but I think you had to really get like super VHS for you to actually get stereo audio. And this one is not super VHS. And this thing records in 480p at 30 frames per second. There's no change in the frame rate or anything like that. And a lot of these older cameras, even like mini DV cameras, except for like HDV cameras, really like they have one frame rate on them, and it's usually 24p or 30p. And with this camera having the battery on there along with a tape inside of it, it does weigh 4.7 pounds, so this thing is actually pretty heavy. So you'll probably be able to get a pretty steady image with it, even if you're holding it handheld, if yours has a handle up here. So those are pretty much all the specs. Not really much going on with this camera, but we'll go over a little bit more once we go through all of the physical features. We'll start off at the lens like we always do. Like I said, it's got a 46mm lens thread diameter on it. So the rocker zoom, a lot of RCA cameras have this. It doesn't have a variable range of zoom. So it has one speed zooming in and one speed zooming out. And then right in the middle, it's not hard to miss, you can see the record button there. And to be honest, I kind of hate that, because if you want to hold it from up here, or if you have it on a tripod or something, I always forget that it's right there, because there's a spot back where the hand strap is, where like you can rest your thumb, but there's no button back there. And it's like there's a perfect spot to put a button, but there's no button. And I don't understand why they did that. They could have had the button right there, the record button, and it's not there. And even when I did my review on the RCA CC4393, it had the exact same record button right there where the rocker zoom is. So you almost got to have like 3 fingers in there. Your ring finger is to zoom in, and your index finger is to zoom out, and then your middle finger is to record with. So I don't know. It's kind of a stupid spot in my opinion. So you might be looking at this contraption up here. The viewfinder system was its own kind of separate piece. And what you can do is it sits like this, so you can fold it up and put it in its case, and it takes up less room. And then when you get ready to use it, it turns like that. It slides out to where you want it, and you can actually even slide it out and actually use the viewfinder with your left eye if you want. That's how far out it slides out. And then you can actually rock the viewfinder up and down to get your angle wherever the camera's sitting at. So you can have it down low, or you can have it up high, and it goes all the way forward like that for when you're ready to pack it up and put it away. But you got kind of a little adjustment wheel here, and that is to adjust the focus on the viewfinder for your eyesight. You got your microphone right here, your mono microphone, and it actually has a light on it, which I think is actually really cool. And it still works, actually. Just under there, you can actually adjust the brightness. Wait, does that have a... No way! That's crazy. Okay, so you have your, you got a little wheel here on the bottom, and that is to adjust your brightness. And then I actually just discovered this. On the bottom, there's a little hole there, and it says mic. So when I was doing my research on the specs and everything on this, I went to a website called Video Maker. You may or may not have heard of them, but they have like a bunch of archived articles about old camcorders, and this one was on there. And I remember reading on it, and they complained that it didn't have an external mic plug-in. Well, I'm pretty sure that little port on the bottom down there is a 3.5mm mic plug-in. Maybe they didn't find that either. I don't know if the original manual and instructions even indicated that it had an external mic plug-in, but I just found it while filming this video, so that's actually super cool. I'm assuming that it's probably a mono plug-in as well, but you can probably get a much better audio on it, but not really anywhere to mount it. So you could probably use a mic like this, and then, have an interview with somebody, and then, hand the mic off. But I mean, it's still cool that it has that. That actually makes me like this camera a lot more than I already do. So that's actually really cool. Super stoked, brother. Let's fold that guy up. Come around the side. Like I said, you got a 3-inch LCD screen, which is kind of weird. Usually have a 2.5 or a 3.5, so kind of strange to see a 3-inch. But on the side, you can actually adjust the brightness of the LCD screen along with your playback audio, along with the button to unlock it from the body. So when you want to open it, you can push the button in and open it up. And it is a 270 degree rotating screen. So yeah, if you wanted to, you could vlog with this guy if you wanted to. You'd probably need a wide angle lens or a fisheye on there to actually get you in frame, but you could do it if you wanted to, or you could make videos like we're doing. You got your playback speaker here. I'm guessing that that's probably decently loud, just based off of its size. A couple buttons, a few buttons over here. You got your instant zoom, which is kind of a crazy like video crop in. It'll just kind of like digitally zoom in real quick and then digitally zoom out when you turn it off. You have your fade button here, so you can turn your fades on or off, and then you can probably select which ones you want. You got your digital effects to turn those on or off, and probably how you select them as well, because there's no menu button on this guy. So all of your functions are within the buttons on the outside. You can't go into the menu and set anything because there is no menu. Along with that, you got a switch down here, and that is your switch to turn the light on or off, or to put it in auto mode. So it'll automatically come on if the camera thinks that the environment is too dark. And then you have your steady picks button. So your steady shot. RCA couldn't call it steady shot because, well, Sony already owns that name. So they called it steady picks. Then you got this big compartment here. If I can get my finger in there. Little rubber door there, and that is your AV out sources. The yellow is your video and the white is your audio. So you only get one audio out, indicating that it is mono. And then you have a switch that you can switch it to an in or an out AV source. So you can record things to tape and stuff like that. Pretty much turn this thing into a VCR. We'll move to the back. Get the big ass battery back here, like I said. It's kind of up on top where you would be able to strap a lanyard to, but there's a button up here and that's your battery release. Push that down and the big huge battery comes out. Your lead acid battery. Taking that guy out, this thing is much, much lighter. And you can probably see that this is actually a fairly small VHS camera compared to a lot of other VHS cameras, especially ones from the late 80s to early 90s. But you do gotta, if you don't have a battery, you can plug in a DC in that is a 9.6 volt. It's kind of a laptop style plug-in there. Now another cool thing that it's got, and because these are generally supposed to be shoulder mounted cameras, because it's got the strap right up here up on front, is it's got this little shoulder mount here. And it's just this little platform that folds in and out. So if you want some extra platform leverage when you're filming, you can stick your hand up through here and then place that guy right there, and you can have a better range for when you're recording. If you want to, use the viewfinder or whip out the old screen here, you can do that as well. You don't have to use it, but it's there if you want it. Going along the top, these are all of kind of like your playback functions, along with a couple of other things here and there. But you got your display on and off, you got your reset, your date and time, and your titler. So the reset button is to reset the date and time, and to reset your titler. You got your power switch, the little red button in the middle is your safety button, so you got to push that down and then slide it to the left or to the right. Sliding it to the left switches it to camera mode or record mode. In the middle, the camera is off, and then if you switch it to the back, it's VCR mode or playback mode. Your buttons back here, you got your AV dub, you have your review and rewind, so it's kind of like your edit search. So you can record a clip and then push that, and it will actually rewind the tape a little bit and play it, so you can watch your clip back to make sure you got the shot correct. Your play button is just your play button. You got your fast forward and your stop/eject. So that button will eject the tape, and it will stop the video if you are watching playback. So you can see that there's your memory card. Big ass VHS tape. I don't know. It's crazy to me that cameras actually recorded to these. There's something just so fun about loading in a tape to a camera. I don't know. It's like you're loading a shotgun or something. And then you got your 1/4-inch threads, so you can attach it to a tripod. I wouldn't trust this with anything else besides a tripod because it's so heavy. It could unloosen itself and maybe fall off or something like that. So that's pretty much it. This thing's pretty basic. The hand strap is in really, really good shape. Usually these are also cracking as well because they're made of rubber. This camera was, if I remember right, it was $600 when it was brand new. So this thing was definitely a budget camcorder, especially for 2001. I mean, you don't get any kind of manual functions with it. I would say the best feature that it has is probably the 16 times optical zoom, and it has a external mic plug-in on it, but it does suck that it's mono audio. It's cool that it has a colored viewfinder and a 3-inch LCD screen. It's got some pros and it's got some cons. It is big, you know, that's what makes VHS cameras fun, is they're big and they're just so weird looking. If you were out recording with this, people are gonna give you weird looks. They're gonna be like, what the hell is that thing? Is that an entire VCR you have on your shoulder? Yeah, pretty much. It's a VCR with a lens attached to it, pretty much. I really like this camera. I don't really want to get rid of it, but I should probably sell it. This will be for sale up on my eBay store. It'll come with the big metal case. It'll come with the power supply and the charger. It just won't come with the battery itself. These are hard to find. And if you have one of these for yourselves, I'll leave links to I'll leave a link to Battery Kings, and you can get yourself a battery from there if you want. They don't make chargers for these anymore. I've never been able to find VHS chargers, even for like the old Panasonic ones. So if you do buy one of these cameras, just make sure that it comes with the original charger, and make sure that the charger is not broken and it still works, because you can still find the batteries out there. They're just kind of expensive and hard to find. You just can't find aftermarket chargers. So I'll leave links to batteries. I'll leave links to tapes, video converters, and some fisheye accessories if you want to, you know, use a big ass VHS camera to film action sports if you want, some skateboarding or something, because it's just so fun. If you film skateboarding out there and you like filming fisheye, you got to try it with a VHS camera, because it just feels so weird. But like, you'll watch the footage back after you capture it and you'll be like, that looks sick. I love that. That was really fun to film, and that is fun to watch because I know what filmed this footage. So definitely check one of these out if you enjoy filming skateboarding. So let me know what you think of the RCA CC4393 from 2001. Would you buy one? Have you ever owned one? Have you owned one similar to this? Let me know down in the comments below, and let's check out some of the test footage that comes out of this guy. We'll be filming fisheye and not fisheye, most likely. So let's check it out. I finally got me a new scooter deck. The other one I had was like 3 years old, and it was just super worn out. So I was pretty eager to try this out. Got some different wheels on here as well, just because this deck isn't compatible with my other wheels. They were wider. So I'm gonna throw some wax on here and get it sliding good. Alright, first go on the new scooter deck. Let's see how she rides. Hopefully I waxed it up enough. Excuse the darkness and the trains in the background, but I figured I'd give a quick little update on how the CC4393 performed at the park. The battery didn't last as long as I thought it was going to. It's completely dead, but it could be because it's cold out as well. The fisheye, definitely I would recommend using a smaller fisheye. Because the lens threads are 46mm, using a 58mm definitely doesn't make it very wide. I definitely would recommend using a 43mm fisheye, maybe closer to the size that, you know, is on the camcorder. The screen is really dark. As soon as it starts getting dark out, it's kind of hard to tell if it's underexposed or overexposed, and the viewfinder is actually even worse on picture quality. So it's kind of hard to tell if it was lit enough or not, but I'll have to see when I go to edit this. I don't know if it will be bright enough or not. And the little light here up on the top, it's not even bright enough to do anything. You might be able to put a different bulb in there and maybe get brighter light out of it, but the one that's in there is very orange and very dim. Let's see, what else? It's super heavy, so if you don't have a tripod that can hold it, you might break the tripod or it might topple over. And yeah, it wasn't too bad to film with. I didn't get to film anybody else. We still got quite a bit of snow out here, so there was only a few little things that I could ride. I enjoyed it. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like. And if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe, because we talk about old school retro camcorders almost on a weekly basis. And on that note, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.